Hello and welcome to my channel, Written in the Stars. I am Venus Salem, your favorite astrologer and alchemist. I have been away for a while, and there is a very good reason for that. And if you stick around, you'll find out. Now, before I begin, for those of you who don't know, I am British of Egyptian origin. I speak both languages fluently. And the reason I've been away for the past few months, or perhaps longer, is because I have been deep in an initiation without me realizing. And what I'm coming back with is a very Kemetic and ancient way of looking at the sky. Now, this has come from a deep academic research and an excavation of memory that the body holds. And this full moon, we're going to be exploring how that is also happening for you at this time. I have no doubt that it's actually been happening for you for quite some time now as well, in different ways perhaps. But in my case, what you'll notice in my reading tonight is that I'm going to start bringing in some ancient Egyptian symbolism and words, and hopefully slowly together we are building up a whole new way of perceiving the skies the same way as the ancient Egyptians did. And I hope you enjoy it as much as I loved it and as much as I am in awe and inspired by what I've seen and explored. Bear in mind, there are no Egyptologists who are astrologers, and there are no astrologers who are Egyptologists either. Now, I'm not claiming to be an Egyptologist, but I am certainly a researcher in Egyptology, so an independent one. So everything that I'm sharing with you does come from a verified academic resources, and I'm really looking forward to sharing with you in different ways what and how the ancient Egyptians saw the sky. So let's go. In the Dendera temple, which is in Qina in south of Egypt, there is, when you look up in the ceiling, you will find a creature who is an archer and a centaur, like a winged centaur. And he's drawing his bow like that. But he has two faces. One is human, facing forward, looking at what he wants to shoot towards. And the other face is the face of a lion, which is turned backwards over his shoulder, keeping watch on the road that he's already traveled. Now, why the lion, you may ask? Because if you've already bravely crossed this threshold, and because Sagittarius is a mutable sign, marking the threshold being the end of autumn and the beginning of winter, you understand that wisdom, which is one of the characteristics of Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, wisdom is acquired through experience and reflection on the past, as well as looking forward into the future. This creature even carries two tails. One of them is the scorpion's sting, and the other is curled backwards into the past. Now, the archer is aiming forward, but he does remember backwards. He does both at once, and that is the whole genius of this full moon. On the 31st of May, the moon is going to come to her fullness right there in Sagittarius, in the sign of this creature who refuses to choose between where he has been and where he is going, which means that he is going to find a way of integrating the wisdom of the past with the hopes and dreams of the future. So this is not a small full moon. This is the moon that turns to you and asks quietly, now that you finally know where you came from, what are you going to be brave enough to aim at now? The moon perfects at 9 degrees of Sagittarius, with the sun standing directly across from her in Gemini. And this is the great mental axis of the heavens, the long conversations between the part of us that gathers the facts and the part of us that needs them to mean something. Gemini collects the messages, the data, the endless open doors and unread tabs, while Sagittarius lifts his eyes from all of it and says, yes, but what is the story here? Full moon is the hour of maximum exposure. Whatever was once a secret seed is now a flower in full view and impossible to hide. It is the lunar phase of things spoken aloud, announcements and declarations, openings thrown wide open. And because she falls on the axis of the mind, what is being exposed here is belief itself. The story you have been telling yourself about who you are and whether, in the cold light of a full moon, you still believe a word of it. Now, she is also a blue moon, which means that it is the second full moon of May, the rarest kind, the kind that arrives feeling like a last page of one chapter and the first line of the next already. And there is an older name of what is happening tonight. And because I'm slowly bringing you to a Kemetic way of perceiving these astrological events, I want to speak to how the ancient Egyptians viewed this full moon, which to them symbolized the left eye of Horus. So the moon is the left eye and the sun is the right eye. And what it symbolized, the left eye, is how the moon comes into its fullness. Remember, Horus lost his eye to Set in his battle with Set, who killed his father, mythologically speaking. So across the last 2 weeks, just past, the eye has been filling, fraction by fraction and night by night, gathering the light it lost from his injury, and now it is whole again. They called the restored eye and perfect eye the Wadjet, who is the sound one, the one eye made complete. And it was Jehuti, Lord of Wisdom, and the moon, the one who reckons and writes and heals, who knit it back together and returned it whole. Now, it's also important to read this full moon in the context of his moon family story, for she belongs to a family of moons still striking the same 9 degrees of Sagittarius across more than 3 years now, each one a different stage of a single unfolding story. Now, bear with me and maybe get a pen and paper and write this down. This full moon seed was planted in the dark of the 1st of December of 2024 at the new moon of the exact degree of 9 degrees of Sagittarius. You can even say this was when Horus's eye was wounded. The story took its first real action the following summer, last August, at the turning of the first quarter around the end of August of 2025. And this full moon, the one at on the 31st of May, is the blooming of that seed that was planted on the 1st of December of 2024. This is the harvest, the stage where the seed is no longer hidden, and what you do about it is the only thing that matters. It will not finally release its hold until the last quarter of the moon, which is going to be around February next year. This moon family does not complete until next February of 2027. That's going to be in the last quarter stage of the moon. That's going to happen at the same degree in Sagittarius. And that's when the story finally releases its hold. So wherever you are in the story right now is incredibly important, least because of how the sky reads today. If you want to understand what is ripening in you this week, you have to remember the winter of 2024, because that is when the seed went down into the ground, possibly due to challenges you were facing at the time. So cast your mind back to that new moon. It was a hard planting. It wasn't easy. And you may remember some struggles going on at the time. You know, the sun and moon were locked in a square to Saturn in Pisces. So that very fresh beginning met a wall. And then its long-held beliefs were beginning to crack. And it was the most likely a very uncomfortable time for you. Mercury at the time was retrograde and standing in Sagittarius, while Jupiter, the great ruler of this entire moon family, was retrograde across the way in Gemini. And you were asking yourself at the time, what do I even believe anymore? That was a seed. You planted a question in confusion, under pressure, in the dark of the year. Now, hold that image gently, because the most beautiful thing about this full moon is the journey its ruler has been making in silence ever since. Sagittarius belongs to Jupiter, and so to read this moon, you follow Jupiter. And Jupiter has been walking a path so fitting, even you will stop believing in chances. At the seed, Jupiter was retrograde in Gemini, living inside the very body of the twins and facing backwards because it was retrograde. Now, the whole story began with the planet of meaning looking over its shoulder. And now, at the fullness of the moon, Jupiter has crossed into Cancer, its exaltation, and come to rest upon a single star, Pollux, who is one of the twins of Gemini, Pollux and Castor. This is the immortal twin out of the constellation of Gemini. You may ask, what's it doing in Cancer? That's a whole other story. I won't get into it today. But stay with me in that moment, because it is the heart of everything. The ruler of this moon family began the story inside the constellation of Gemini and arrives at the harvest upon the star of the twin himself. Jupiter walked from the twins to the twin, and along the way it turned around, facing backward, retrograde at the planting, and facing forward now at the fulfillment. And now the two faces of the Dandara archer, as I described at the beginning, enacted in the orbit of the moon's own ruler, Cancer. And the myth is this message. Pollux was the immortal brother. His twin Castor was mortal. They were the sons of Zeus, of Jupiter himself, funny enough. When Castor was killed, Pollux could not endure eternity without him, and he begged his father to let him give away half of his own deathlessness. So Zeus consented and set the brothers among the stars to shuttle forever between two worlds. One day among the living, one day below with the dead. Always between, always both ways. Now, the ancient astrologers did not call him kind. They named him the heartless judge. So this moon asks you to become the honest judge of your own beliefs. Heartless here doesn't mean non-feeling. It means inside you know what your truth is. You know what your truest belief is, even if you outwardly pretend otherwise. Okay, so look back, unflinching, at the stories you've inherited and decide which of them you will carry forward and which you will allow to die. And something truer can finally take its place. Now, to really understand this full moon, we really have to go back to the planting moment in December 24. At the planting, the moon squared Saturn. So there was friction, there was blockage, old forms were breaking. But now in the harvest, the moon comes into trine with Saturn and Neptune in Aries, because Saturn has obviously moved signs and has climbed out of the dissolving and dissolution of Pisces and into the first fire of embodiment in Aries. So this is moving from the dream realm into the reality realm, into the embodiment realm, your body being the thing you planted on that moon. Now, this trine is a grace that flows of its own accord. So the belief that was put on trial in that winter of 2024, if it was true, if it was genuinely yours, if it survived the long pressure, of course, it now belongs or is now being handed back to you whole and weighted with responsibility, because Saturn is there. Saturn has stopped barring the door and started laying the foundation for you. Whatever beliefs needed fear or fog to keep standing have quietly fallen now. What remains can hold a roof. That is the trine. Okay, it's the most benefic aspect in astrology. Now, I want to also share that this moon rises in the first decan of the archer. And in this 10 degree, the Egyptians knew a star they called Septi Henui. This is now one of the lost stars, and its name has outlived its own light. But I'm bringing it back, lest the star itself makes itself known to us today. Because it does exist, we just don't know what it's called today in modern times. The symbol given to the star is the dog-headed or the jackal-headed, jackal-faced guardian, and he's holding a sharp blade in his hand. Now, in ancient Egypt, the jackal is the keeper of the threshold and is known as Anpu or Anubis in Greek, but we prefer Anpu. And he is the guardian of the body, the one who tends the vessel after the spirit has begun its journey after death. And he keeps the flesh whole and on it. The jackal head is also, so there's two of them. There is Anpu, and there's also another one called Wepwawit, who is the opener of the ways. He is the scout who runs ahead before the dead and also beyond the living to clear the road, and it points the path forward. One jackal turned back to guard what is finished, and one turned forward to open what is to come. And this is an uncanny reference to the two faces of the archer of Sagittarius once more, and this time wearing the head of a dog. And the meaning one could glean from this repeated symbolism is not that we are facing choices necessarily, but that we are using the wisdom of the past to inform the future, particularly as Uranus is squaring the nodes in Virgo and Pisces, and I'll come to that in a moment. Now let's examine Jupiter and what he's up to. He's at his exaltation in Cancer, the sign of the shell and the hearth, of the mother and the safe exclosure that does not wish to be disturbed. In the old Egyptian sky, this region carries the scarab, or Khefri, whose name means to become, to come into being. The Book of Nut describes him as the form of the sun the sun takes in the very instant of emergence, first thing in the morning, the principle that rolls the new day up from the rim of the world. The repeated action of coming into existence, like as if it was the very first time. He is the concept of becoming itself. And the ancients left a fingerprint here. On the temple zodiac at Esna, Jupiter is placed in Cancer as the seat of his greatest strength in its exaltation, which is the very same dignity that modern astrology still honors. So Jupiter on this moon is not passing guest, but he is at home, and he is very strong and powerful. And he's cradled in the shell of the Great Mother, known as Mut in ancient Egypt. This is why the words that belong to this moon are safety, belonging, nourishment, ancestry, and the body the jackal guards is precise. Sagittarius governs the hips and the thighs, the sacrum, the base of the spine. All of this architecture is what you stand and walk on, and aim your bow and arrow from. And this is where the ancestors reach you, not as a thought, but as a steadiness underneath you, a knowing that holds you up. There is also one more mercy in the sky. Venus is climbing steadily to Jupiter, the one most beautiful aspect that happens once a year between between Jupiter and Venus. And it is blissful. And it's only going to be in a few days' time, just after this full moon on the 9th of June. They're going to meet, love and abundance meet once again, and have a beautiful embrace and kiss in the sky of Cancer of all places. So the wisdom this moon delivers does not arrive cold. It comes wrapped in a warm embrace. Venus and Jupiter together in the sign of home want you to feel held while you do this reckoning, to feel that the ancestors are not a weight behind you, but a foundation beneath you, and that belonging is the quiet reward for telling yourself the truth. Now let's talk about the lightning strike that's going to happen in the skies on this full moon. Whatever wisdom you gain, you are building towards a whole new timeline in your life. Uranus is squaring the nodes of the moon, the axis of destiny itself, the long pull between where the soul has been and where it's being pulled. The square comes exact a couple of weeks after the full moon, just by the beginning of the new moon. But it is already alive and already crackling beneath everything, and the new moon will only cement it for you. The nodes are the two directions of the soul, precisely like the two faces of the archer. And Uranus is the awakener, the bolt from the blue, the great interrupter. When it squares the nodes, the insight arriving now is not gentle or gradual. It can come as a flash, a sudden knowing, a truth you cannot unsee, that lifts you clean off the track you were once running and sets you down on a completely different one. This is the redirection. Whatever seeds you planted at the new moon in December 2024, You planted it in the dark of the balsamic new moon, right? Which means that you weren't sure what this seed was going to blossom into. Now, it's blossoming now and is showing you a completely different direction. If a belief you have carried since childhood or since your family raised you or since before even memory, if you suddenly see it for what it is, archaic or a relic of a story that was never even yours or never served you, then this is the full moon that hands you both the permissions and the lightning to let it fall. Because that is what probably kept you blinded when you planted the new moon seeds back in December 2024. So keep your eyes open for new messages, new arrivals that happen all of a sudden out of nowhere, out of the blue. You did not expect them, and therefore you cannot prepare for them. Just expect the unexpected. Now, let's look at the work. I want you to look back, like the lion face of the archer. Look back with courage at the beliefs you have been firing your own arrows from to understand the place you have been launching from. And be the honest judge. That is the pollux in the sky. Keep what bears weight. Let the rest die, and let it die with respect. Then turn the human face forward, draw the bow, and aim. Say the new belief out loud, because this is a moon of declarations. Set the arrow on the line of where you are going. You are standing in the exact center of the story, between the seed of December 2024 and its release in February 2027. This is the hinge. This is the moment that decides which way the arrow flies. No pressure. The archer of Dendara always knew the secrets. You cannot aim forward until you have made peace with where you stand. The arrow that flies true is the one shot by someone who is rooted in their belief, which only comes from wisdom and experience. Look back with respect, then turn and aim. And remember, Sagittarius and Gemini are both mutable signs, both giving you plenty of space to maneuver. And Jupiter being in Cancer, a cardinal sign, invites new action, invites new beginnings. So take advantage of that. Now, I'll finish my report by mentioning 5 things to look out for this full moon. First of all, a declaration that cannot be unsaid. This is a full moon of announcements, falling on the axis of the mind. Something you have been keeping quiet is likely to come out into the open. Watch for the words that, once spoken, change the shape of everything you've been doing so far. Choose them wisely, rather than letting them choose you. Number 2, the truth that arrives like lightning. With Uranus electrifying the nodes, the key insight of the season tends to come suddenly. Keep something near you to catch it. The lightning does not strike twice in the same words. Believe me. Number 3, an old belief wants to be retired. Look for the conviction you have never actually examined or questioned, the one in your family's voice, not your own. And this moon with Pollux as the honest judge gives you the standing to question it with grace and release it without bitterness. Number 4, there's a wave of feelings of belonging. Let them in. Venus closes in on Jupiter in the sign of the mother. Watch for unexpected warmth, an ancestral memory, a sense of home, a person or a place that suddenly feels like solid ground. And notice it, and let yourself be held by it. The safety is real, and it is the reward for your honesty. And finally, number 5, the pull to look both ways at once. You will feel the past and the future tugging in the same moment, the lion face and the human face of the archer. Do not collapse into a choice. The medicine of this moon is the both and. Honor where you have been and aim past it. Let your body and your bones hold the 2 directions together, the way the immortal twin holds the living and the dead. Now, since this is the full moon of announcements, I am announcing my next retreat, which will take place on December. We meet on the 23rd of December, and it's the holy nights, the 12 holy nights which I ran last year with great success, is now going to become, or has become, a 12-night holy night journey on the River Nile between Luxor and Aswan and back. And we were going to spend our entire time on the boat, on the Dahabeeyah, designed in the theme of the Temple of Dendera, with the stars of Nut, the body of Nut, and the stars of Nut inside of her. And we're going to spend 12 days hopping on and off at each temple. And I'm going to be teaching you Kemetic astrology, which no one has ever done before. And I'm very excited and I'm very proud to be able to give this to the world. And as I said earlier, it has come after months and months and months of study and preparing and understanding and warring with the resources that I have and the resources I don't. And even though there are some pieces of the puzzle missing from archaeology archives and as well as Egyptology archives, I am very happy and excited and honored, really, to say that the cosmology is complete. And that's because when you look at it from an astrological perspective, there is no way you cannot understand it. It is all there. And so I am very happy, excited, joyous, thrilled, honored, privileged to be able to offer this to the world. And, well, not to the world, to just a few people. So if this sounds like something you want to learn firsthand and you want to enjoy the ride, traveling between Luxor and Aswan on the most beautiful Dahabeeyah boat and hopping on and off with me through the temples where we're going to also study and explore the various temples. And we're going to end our visit with a private ceremony in the pyramids and a private closing ceremony at the Sphinx. That is the trip of a lifetime, truly. And there is so much more coming up too. I'm currently growing to a powerful transition and alchemical process. Yes, I am very much embodying Khifri right now and changing my entire way I read the sky to be more in alignment with how my ancestors looked at the sky and how they reported on it and what they saw, which is very different to what we saw. Let's just put it that way. And I cannot wait to share with you how they saw it. In the meantime, please email me, venus@writinthestars.com, if you're interested in joining me. And I'll send you all the details, including prices and itinerary. Until next time, please don't forget to share, subscribe, like, and comment, and tune in to the only channel in this world that offers you a genuine and authentic glimpse into seeing how the ancient Egyptians observed the skies. Be well.